Notes for my approximately February 2001 reading of Holes by Louis Sachar. Today is Wednesday, 29 July 2026 AD. And here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, talk through my notes for my approximately February 2001 reading of Holes by Louis Sachar, 1998. The book was later read/covered in my 4th grade class during the 2001 to 2002 school year, so approximately September 2001 to June 2002. Here on my, I'm Euro Native American, and the school was on my ancestors' lands, my Native American, some of them, so my own turf, so to speak, and in the Seattle area, so relevant for me in my life story and my upbringing. And this book was one that I read and then was covered in class. There were a few that went with that way. This one was, it was like barely got it in. It was, I got to the book a few years after it had released, and then it was covered in a class later the same year, and so it was like a little bit ahead of, like, in the sense of like it was covered in like a class, but like not that much ahead because it was still the same year. And it's a book about a kid who has these parents, and they're working on trying to figure out how to make shoes less smelly. And like the kid goes away for, if I'm recalling correctly, there's a film adaptation of the book that has a Shia LaBeouf in it. And there's a fancy pair of shoes, and he goes, and there's like, different types of imprisonment, and so he gets sent off to this camp where the form of punishment is a way of building characters, and they have to dig these big holes. Like they have, I think it was like 5-foot long shovels, and each day they go out and they have to dig a hole, and it has to be as tall as the shovel and as wide as the shovel. And there's a woman in charge of the camp, so there was kind of, gender breakthrough there. And they dig these holes looking for treasure. Okay, she's on the hunt for some, wild west kind of treasure. And I loved the book. It was so good, and it was such a good. I grew up watching. I had a taste for military and war movies, and this is one where I was like thinking of like. I was like, this like competes with that. Like how much work I think I would like physically have to do for being in the military and war is like digging holes. And I was like, not necessarily being sitting in a prison cell, but like actually like prison where you actually have to do manual labor each day. And I was like, it kind of like reminds me of the military. And like, I was like, I wonder, like, they had like trenches, in some war movies there are like trenches, or like they hide behind like sandbags and stuff. And I was like, it's kind of like that, like a big hole, only they have to dig it. Do they have to like dig trenches in a military setting too? So it was kind of the book does not take it in that way, but it was me musing about military service, and I was like, it's, okay, I was born approximately 1993, so I was approximately like 8 years of age when I read this book. And approximately February 1993. So I was like, little me was like, would that be a prison? Like, and so I was like, is there such thing as like a military prison? Would that be like a hole? Would that, like, yeah. So I don't think I actually reached like prisoner of war at term level, but like the concept of being a prisoner in war and like there being like a physical confinement or constrainment actually came from like reading this book. And it was like me connecting my own dots. So if I ever become a prisoner of war, this is the book where I connected it for my own tastes and my own history of like movie watching and book reading and stuff. So so there we go. This is the book where I'm reading it back in February 2001. I saw it coming, and it's now 2020, Wednesday, 29 July 2026 AD, and it hasn't happened. I haven't been a prisoner of war, but if it does happen, it's over 25.00 years later now, and I saw it coming then. I was like, coming now. But great book, absolutely great book, a great read, and it's adventurous, and they have great characters, and it like takes into account, and the setting is so well done. It makes a really great use of a desert landscape and the concept of like an oasis where like onions can grow in a desert, and you're like needing water for that to happen, especially in a desert setting and that kind of stuff. It was just so well done, and it's for like young adults or like youth perhaps. So they're all young at that where they dig the holes. They're like young men. So there we go. Those are notes for my approximately February 2001 reading of Holes by Louis Sachar.